Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Beloved Podcast. I'm your host, Kelly, and on today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to date as a woman in your mid-30s who wants marriage and who wants family. So, I love this topic. This is the majority of the women that Matt and I help inside of our program, Dating for Marriage. And today in this podcast episode, I want to give you 3 steps that if you took today, they would kickstart your dating journey and set you up in a way that would help you to meet your husband. Of course, we have so many more steps and frameworks than this inside of our program. I'll link some more details for that in the show notes or below if you're watching on YouTube. So look for that if you'd like it. But even if you don't look for that, today's episode is going to give you enough information to really kickstart your dating journey. So, the reason that I want to share this is because, well, I know a lot of people want to know. It's been requested to do a video somewhat like this. And because I know so many women who get to for some women, it's their late 20s or their 30s, and they realize that they really want marriage and they want a family, and it feels stressful to then go out into the dating scene and try to find a man who's available and who's serious and who also wants marriage, who's also Christian, or whatever your non-negotiables are that you're looking for, which we're going to talk about those today. So we'll get to that in a minute. But they go out there and it's hard to find a man who's all those things. And then they're looking online to find advice. And the advice is so conflicting. Some people are like, don't settle, girl. Your man's out there. Just keep looking. Don't settle for less. And then some other people are saying, your standards are way too high and you need to be realistic. And no matter who you listen to, I think it just leaves women disheartened because there's some truth to both of them, but then they're not the full picture. So today I'm hoping to paint somewhat of a full picture for you to set you up with better dating advice than those two, and nuanced dating advice, and really so that you can go out there with clarity and in a position that will help you stop wasting time and start finding men who are serious and finding men who are aligned with you. So one quick story, and then we're going to get into these 3 things that we're going to talk about today on the podcast. But I was partially inspired to teach this, I should say, because of one of the women who's currently inside of our Dating for Marriage program. She came into our program and she'd done other dating programs before, and she felt a little skeptical about if this would really work for her because the other ones hadn't quite gotten the results that she wanted. And she decided to take the leap and join. Now, I think she's been inside the program a short period of time. I don't know the exact time, and I don't want to say it wrong. So really a short period of time she's been inside the program. And she posted in the Facebook group the other day that she was celebrating that she is in a relationship with a man who is Catholic, which was really important to her, and devoted to his faith, and a man who wants to be a provider, a man who has a good job, a man who wants her to be a stay-at-home mom, like all these huge non-negotiables that she hadn't found before, all in one man. And she was so grateful and so excited, and I want to share some of the things that she said made the biggest difference that Matt and I taught her. So I'll weave that into what I'm teaching today, and then teach you some other things as well. So I say that to say that it's possible for you, no matter how long you've been dating, or even if you feel you've missed your time, like it's not true. And there's no better time than literally right now to start. If you feel stressed about time, right now is this time to start because you still have time, but start now, Okay, so let's get right into it because I could go on 70 more tangents, but I won't yet. Well, let's get into it. So the first thing, and I'm going to look at my notes over here as I talk you through this, the very first step that is so crucial as you're beginning this dating journey in your mid-30s is that you get clear on what you want. That sounds simple, but I'm going to give you more details than that. Get clear on what you want, and not just what you want, but what's actually important. So the way Matt and I distinguish this is between non-negotiables and preferences. So the problem that I see is that there's two types of women. This is generalizing, but generally there's two types of women. There's a woman who has a very long list of what she wants. She is super clear. Usually this woman's kind of high achieving, clear on what she wants. She's like a go-getter. She's got a really long list of qualities that she wants in a man. The problem is she's got her non-negotiables and preferences all in that list, and she thinks they're all non-negotiables. So for example, this woman might be looking for a man who has a certain job title, a man who makes a certain dollar amount, a man who's an exact height. It's just hyper specific on things that honestly are not the most important when it comes to finding the love of your life. Now, don't freak out, because I'm not saying you need to date someone you're not attracted to or be with someone who's shorter than you. We're going to get to that in a second, but let me talk about the other type of woman. So the other type of woman, she is fearful to ask for or declare that she wants anything. This woman probably doesn't even have a list. Maybe she has some things that was floating around her head of what she wants, but she's kind of hesitant to put it down on a list because maybe she doesn't think it's possible, or she doesn't think she's worthy. And we've worked with women like this before, and when they actually, this is a true story, there was one woman in our program, and she was this type of woman, and I encouraged her to, get clear on her non-negotiables. And so she did, and she got really clear on what she wanted. She wrote it down, and I am not kidding, I think it was a few weeks later that she met the man who is now her husband. It was a while ago, so I'm not remembering the exact time frame, but they are married now. And he's all that she wanted because she got clear. So whether you're this type of woman with a super long list or this type of woman who's afraid to write any list, that's okay, because both of you guys will get something out of this. So what you want to do is distinguish your non-negotiables from your preferences. So non-negotiables are the thing that you will not settle on, the things that are most important when you're looking for a husband. We'll get to what preferences are in a second, but just to explain more what non-negotiables are, they include values, long-term vision, faith, and the way Matt and I, and we teach this inside of our program, and it's a great way to get super clear. So the way that we break it down is that we break down non-negotiables into 4 separate categories. So I encourage you to do this because I promise you it's going to help you so much. The 4 categories are mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual. So when you write down those 4 categories, you're going to create 2 non-negotiables for each category. And yes, it's only 2. And I know that's hard for some of you. The reason we want to keep it to 2 is because we want to be laser focused on what's most important and then flexible on what's not most important. And that's when we're going to get to the preferences in a second. So I'll just give you a short breakdown, and Matt and I teach this so much more in depth, but for the sake of this, obviously I'm only going to touch on it lightly. When we look at mental, in that category, you're going to want to look at life vision, so wanting marriage and kids, and I'd say, when someone makes sense, like if you're dating a guy and you're like, yeah, it makes sense that we'd be together, like we want the same things, we both want marriage, we both want kids, or we both want to live in this city, or he has this type of job, or he's this way with his finances. Those can all go into mental. Next category, we have physical. So this is where we talk about attraction, because that's so important. Of course, it's one aspect that is important that needs to be there. So maybe that's that he takes good care of his physical health, his fitness, it could be, and that you're attracted to him. That's an example of a couple non-negotiables in that category. And then the third category, we have emotional. So a common non-negotiable that a lot of women put that we work with is that they feel safe with their future partner. And also that they can have maybe deep emotional conversations. That could be an example. Or, that he's in tune with his own emotions. That could be some examples. And then the last one is spiritual. So this one's gonna look like, for example, a man who is following Jesus. That could be a non-negotiable. And then a man who, that could all fall under following Jesus, but I would say he's maybe the same denomination as you, right? Like looking, like I referenced the woman at the beginning, maybe he's a Catholic man and he's truly following Jesus in the way that he acts and shows up. So those are some examples. Now I'd encourage you to like make your own list, and maybe if you want to pause this or whatever, but creating those 8 non-negotiables, and it's going to challenge you to get really specific. Now, before you pause, I actually want you to hear this because this is going to help you even more when we talk about preferences. So what preferences are basically everything else. Outside those 8 non-negotiables, then we have the preferences. There's nothing wrong with preferences. There's nothing wrong if you want a man who's a certain height. There's nothing wrong if you want a man who's an entrepreneur or has a certain job. Like, that's all okay. But the problem is that the problem is when the preferences slide into the non-negotiables, because then women can tend to limit themselves, right? If a man in your mind can only look this way or only have this job, it's like we think that we know exactly the man that we're going to fall in love with, when in reality only God knows that information, and we want to leave some space for surprise, for mystery. Just there's examples I could give, but I don't want to go on a million tangents. So let me think. I do want to give one example for you guys here. So, all right. There was once a woman in our program, and we gave her the homework of dating outside her preferences. So I'd encourage you to do that as well. And basically what she did was, the way that came to be for her is she was swiping through the dating app one day, and she came across this man who, when she looked at his profile, like, they connected on a few other levels, but she wouldn't have normally swiped yes to him because he was bald, because she imagined she'd be with a man with hair. However, she was like, is that really necessary, for my, lifelong marriage? No, maybe not. So let me give this man a chance, because I am experimenting with going outside my preferences. So she swiped yes to him. They ended up going on a date, and he was amazing. And she, in person, was so attracted to him, ended up falling in love with him, and they got engaged. And she was so grateful that she dated outside her preferences, because that's a great example of being surprised by the man that you actually fall in love with. Like, sometimes men have bad photos on their dating profiles. Sometimes a man might be shorter than what you thought you were going to be in a relationship with, but in person his energy is so big and you feel so safe with him. So that's what I mean when I say preferences. And that I'll leave it there for now, and I hope that's helpful, but that's the first step, getting clear on non-negotiables versus preferences. Don't settle on your non-negotiables, and be flexible with your preferences, okay? That's the first step. Step number 2, you might feel resistance. I wonder how many women will turn off the podcast at this one. I'm sorry to say it. Number 2 is get on dating apps. And the reason I say this, I literally heard in my head, dun, dun, dun. The reason I say this, I know that it sounds really romantic to meet in person. And we work with some women who do meet in person. Like one of the examples I gave where she got clear on what she wanted, they did meet in person. However, just logically, when we're on the dating apps, there's so many more possibilities for men. It's tough. A lot of people work from home. We have busy lives. You're a busy woman. You're in your mid-30s. You're not messing around anymore. There's a reality of a biological clock. You want to have kids. So yes, it might be uncomfortable. It might be outside what you want to do, but get on the dang dating apps. It's hard to say it. But I'm not, because I see women who are resistant get on the dating apps and then go on dates with amazing men. And I'm not saying you should be on the dating apps and date and use them the way maybe you did in the past. There's actually a really specific way that we encourage women to create their profiles and show up and conversate on the dating apps. That's going to help you get way better results. And I'm actually going to plug a free workshop right now for you, for anybody who wants to go deeper into how to create something called, what Matt and I call, a magnetic dating profile. Matt does a whole free workshop on this, and he goes super in depth. Like, you could watch that workshop and have your whole dating profile set up. And he's got the whole format laid out. So I wanted to let him take that away from here if you're interested. I'm going to link that. So go ahead and below and check it out if you want to be there. He actually holds it live, like at least once a month. So check it out. It'll be happening sometime soon when you're listening to this. But I won't leave you there. The tip that I'll say for this podcast, because I want you to leave with like something tangible, like get on the dating apps, and because we just got clear on our non-negotiables versus our preferences, I want you to take your most important non-negotiable. Like, for example, for a lot of women, it is a Christian man. I want you to download dating apps that are specifically for Christians. I think that can be so helpful and just help you save time and get right to the type of man that you want. We've seen a lot of success with it. So download, whatever it is. Download a Christian dating app, a Catholic dating app, whatever it is, and spend your time on there. And the other thing I'll suggest, so download 2 dating apps. One that's like, whatever Christian dating app. And then the second one I'd suggest downloading is Hinge, because you can put specifically your denomination and you can really filter out anybody who like isn't Christian, and it helps you save a lot of time. So go ahead and do that. And then if you want more specifics for how to set up your dating profile, go to the workshop and Matt will take that from there. I think I'll leave it there. And actually, I'm sorry, I want to just add one more thing, because I don't know if I gave you guys enough information to actually convince you to be on the dating apps. I'm not trying to convince you, to encourage and empower you to be on the dating apps. Here's what I'll say. If you think about logically how many people you see in your day. Yeah, it's just a normal day. I want you to think about a normal day for you. How many people do you see in your day? Come up with a number. Guess. And then I want you to subtract all the people you know. Okay. So how many new people are you seeing every day? And then I want you to subtract again new people that you're seeing who aren't like the barista at the coffee shop you go to, like who are actually people that you might be interested in dating. And I'm going to guess the number you got down to is in the single digits. Now, there's one route you can take in dating, and that's of course trying to meet them in person. There's events you can go to, and there's speed dating, and we do encourage our clients to do all those things. However, when you go to events, when you go to speed dating, you have to get ready, you need a cute outfit, that takes a few hours, you gotta drive. It takes, a whole day or half a day just to meet a few people who you might not even be interested in. It's like a lot of investment for not a lot of return. So it's good to be trying that avenue as well. But when we think of that single digit number that we got down to, and then we think of a dating app. So right now, sitting in your pajamas, whatever, or you could be sitting at lunch at work, you could meet 50 men. And yeah, most of those men you won't be interested in. You won't be attracted to. So just go in with that expectation. Most men, you're not going to be attracted to them. Most conversations won't go anywhere. There's going to be some guys you're excited about that don't go anywhere. And it might be discouraging. But the odds of you meeting someone great when you're meeting 50 new men a day versus a few if you're lucky every day, it's just like the odds are so much greater. And that's why we want to play the odds game, because you're a woman in your mid-30s who wants marriage and family, and you're not messing around. And so if you're really not messing around, that's why you need to be on dating apps. And I hope that little math assignment helped you get there mentally. So go do it now. Okay, the last thing that I'll say, this is the third. So first we had distinguish preferences versus non-negotiables. Then we had download dating apps. And finally, we have create openings. This is the third one for a particular reason, because at this point you're clear on what you want. You've got a way to meet a bunch of men every day. And then creating openings means you've got a way to start conversations and actually get asked out on dates. So when we talk about openings, I think a really common problem for women, especially women who are feminine or want to be in their femininity or are looking for a Christian man, we believe, and this is not fully wrong, but I'm going to tell you more nuance. Like, we believe, women like that believe that men should be approaching them, men should be asking them on dates, men should be starting conversations on dating apps, like men should be the one to lead. And I do agree. And this is where I'm going to add some nuance. In order for a man to lead well, we actually, the feminine, get to invite him to do that. We get to create an opening for him to step into. So what does that mean? I'll give you an example, a personal example. You may have heard this before. This is a story of how Matt and I met. This is actually, someone else taught me creating openings. I'm so grateful that she did, because I learned this and then I was dating. It was 2020, I was dating, and one day I was scrolling through Instagram and my friend had reposted some man's Twitter post. That man was Matt Kalama. I clicked on his page. I didn't know him, but I saw he was so handsome, and we were in the same city. We were coaching about similar things. Like, just right off the bat, I was like, whoa, he seemed single. He seemed like someone I really would like to go on a date with. Now, when I came across his profile, he had like so many followers, because he is so good at social media and everything, and I didn't, and I was kind of just starting my coaching business. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to follow him because I like his content, but I doubt he'll see me because whatever, he's got so many followers. But I literally in that moment just said a prayer to God, like, if we're meant to meet, set it up, and I just trust you. And I followed him. Then he followed me back, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is really exciting. It's the perfect time for me to create an opening. So I decided, because I really wanted to say hi, like I wanted to start a conversation, and this is an example of creating an opening where I'm the one to say hi first. And so I reached out, I sent a message. I said, hi, hi, I love what did I say? I said, hi, I love what you're up to. Like, I love what you're teaching about, something like that. And then I said, I see you're in Canggu, which was the city we lived in Bali. So am I! ! And that was it. Because it's important that an opening, it's not like grasping for a conversation. It's not, because I think it would have been too much if I was like, how are you? Like, if I asked him a question, I literally just I open the door just a crack to see if then he would like open the door fully and like start the conversation and lean in. Because I don't want to be, I agree, like, the feminine should not be the one like initiating and pushing things forward. But if I want to like drop my handkerchief, like women back in the day would like drop their handkerchief so a man would pick it up. It's kind of like that. It's like, oh, hi. And then let's see if you're interested in me. And if not, I'll move on. But if you are, great. And so what happened there, I created the opening, and then he responded, and we had a great conversation. And then at the end of that conversation, he asked me on a date. And so it was a perfect example of like, I invited him to pursue me, and he did, and then he asked me on a date. So I still got to be in my feminine without being passive. Because imagine if I would have been like, okay, he followed me, like, I'm waiting for him to message me. It's like, it puts me in like this victim, like small place, like helpless. And I think that's why some women get resentful at men, because they're like, well, why aren't they approaching me? Why aren't they like starting conversations? They should be. But we maybe lost the feminine art of creating openings. So let's start it up again, because this doesn't only work for me. I mean, this has worked for so many clients. This worked for that first woman I mentioned today. She created openings. And it doesn't have to be just starting a conversation. It can also be, maybe you're chatting on the apps with a guy. It's going back and forth and you want to go on a date with him, but he hasn't asked you on a date yet. And how many women have been in this situation where they're just waiting, and then they're like, oh, forget it. Like, he's not going to ask me out, and fine, like, he must not be interested or whatever. But pause right there. That's where you create an opening. And I know it sounds vulnerable, but this is what I recommend, and this is what that first woman did with this man. You could just say something like, I've been loving talking to you, and I'm so excited to go on a date in person. It could be that, or it could be, I'd love to take this conversation offline. But you see, in my openings, I'm not asking him out. I'm not saying, can I take you out on Tuesday? Because I agree, that is masculine. That's pursuing. It's just what I'm doing in creating an opening is just revealing. Like, I'm revealing a desire of mine. I'm revealing how I feel. I'm kind of like cracking that door open to see if he'll open it fully. And then say you create an opening and he doesn't ask you out. Well, great. There's your answer. He's not that interested, or whatever it is. He's not your guy. Move on and create some more openings. So for you listening to this, as you've just gotten clear on your non-negotiables and you've downloaded dating apps, you can create openings by first starting conversations. Like, just another thing, like, don't wait for a guy to start a conversation on a dating app. And you can literally just say hi. Like, I actually think that's so feminine, even not to be like, hi, how are you? Okay, like, I wouldn't recommend saying that as a conversation starter. But what if you just said hi with like a cute little emoji, like a little flower emoji? I feel like that's so inviting, because it's like cracking the door open, like, what's up? I mean, but don't say what's up. It's like saying, you know what I mean? I hope. I'm saying just say hi. Don't ask a question. You could ask a question, but then sometimes that's tiring. You're thinking of like what to say and how do I start this conversation? No, just say hi. Just send a little opening and see what happens. And then, again, if you're chatting with a guy, he hasn't asked you out yet, tell him you'd love to go on a date, and then see if he plans a date. That's it. And with those steps, I swear, that will take you from like stuck and frustrated to empowered and feminine and flirty and going on dates with guys who are in alignment with you. I'm just saying, it's worked for other women, so please do it. Okay, and then I just want to add that I truly think that is enough to get you definitely a few dates, at least. I mean, more than that if you keep doing it. A few dates right off the bat, really. I bet you could I know you could do that as long as you created your dating profile well and you actually got clear on non-negotiables like well, and there is a lot of nuance we didn't go into, but like if you did that, you could go on a few dates by the end of, like, you could have a few dates set up by the end of this week. So that is my challenge to you. Go out and do it. And I would love to hear if you do that. If you get one date, if you get 2 dates, if you get 3 dates, please tell me. Comment below or shoot me a message on Instagram, because I want to know if this was helpful. Okay, last thing I'm going to say, and then we'll wrap it up for the day, is just that if you want to know more of the nuance, if you want to know more about how to set up a dating profile, we work with some women who've never been on dating apps before, who haven't dated in 10 years. So you might be like, I'm not quite ready to take that action yet, even though I know these steps. So if that's you, come to the free workshop, because that's going to give you even more details. And also within that workshop, Matt's going to give a lot more details about dating for marriage, which could also be a great fit for you. That's really for women who like want accountability, who want one-to-one coaching. We review women's dating profiles. We review women's conversations to make sure like they're creating openings and help them with that. I mean, there's a million other things we help with. And it's such a fun program. We love holding it, and we've helped so many women get into relationships and get married and have babies. Like, so good. It's the best. So yeah, that's it for today. I hope it was helpful. I loved sharing this with you guys, and I will see you in the next podcast.